Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Conrad Wiacek. I'm the Head of Sport Analysis at Global Data. And thank you for Broadcast Sport for inviting me on to provide this address. So I wanted to speak to you this afternoon about how I believe that sport is the last bastion of must-see TV, and analysing why it must continue to innovate given the developments of new technologies as well as external factors that could potentially challenge this supremacy. Sports broadcasting will be impacted by new technologies and developments in the years ahead, and this will undoubtedly impact the commercial landscape for the sports industry. Sport is typically affected by external factors, but has an uncanny ability to analyse, adapt and develop commercial responses to new scenarios and new situations. The COVID-19 pandemic was perhaps an example of this on a macro level, as society itself reckoned with a global pandemic the likes of which hasn't been experienced in the modern era. While this happened, sport adapted and showed the resilience of the industry by highlighting its ability to innovate and come up with new solutions to new problems. And while sport had to change from empty stadiums to events taking place online, the industry was still able to provide a commercial platform for media partners, sponsors and event hosts. While the sight of an Olympic Games taking place in an empty stadium is something that none of us think we would ever thought we would see, the willingness to adapt to circumstances is a key feature of the sports industry. While COVID was a sudden and unprecedented situation, there are some key themes impacting our industry which have been simmering away for some time and are likely to shape our industry in significant ways. Some, like the evolution of augmented reality and the metaverse, have significant potential but are subject to technological developments, while others, such as women in sport, speak to wider societal and governance issues. As society develops new media consumption habits, how we engage with sport will also change and present new opportunities for different sports and demographics, but understanding how best to utilise these new opportunities will be crucial for rights holders, media partners and sponsors for decades to come. To begin with, just a bit of an introduction to Global Data for those of you who don't know us. Global Data is a leading provider of data, analytics and insights on some of the world's largest industries. Our intelligence centres cover industries such as diverse and varied as sports, consumer goods and retail, pharma, technology, construction, travel and tourism, automotive, aerospace and defence and energy. So if any of you are worried about your gas bill and how that's going to change, that's worth a look. Global Data has over 2,000 analysts, data scientists and journalists providing our clients with timely, actionable insights. One of our most forward-looking areas is our themes offering, which can best be described as understanding what keeps decision makers awake at night. We cover major themes in technology to better understand how developments in this space will impact established companies and which companies are likely to disrupt the space, as well as looking at macro themes such as COVID-19, geopolitics and inflation, which will impact every single industry, as well as deep diving into specific industry themes, as I mentioned, women in sport, to better understand how they will change and shape decision-making in a particular industry vertical. The temperamental clicker won't let me move on. If we could bring up the next slide, please. You can see some of the key themes that we think will be impacting on us in 2023. Hopefully, no, not quite. As I say, hopefully we'll get to see some of those key themes on the screen in just a second. So why is sport the last bastion of must-see TV? Quite simply, because it is live programming that simply isn't repeatable. We've all heard Sky Sports' tagline for the season, it's only live once. And there's a strong degree of truth in that statement. Sport is inherently exciting because it is live, because we only see it once. While social media has many benefits, the fact that the result is simply, or is largely known as soon as it happens, means watching a recorded match simply doesn't have the same appeal. Sports viewership is an area that's seen significant evolution over the years. And while traditional TV subscriptions were always the way for previous generations, the boom in streaming platforms has changed how certain companies think with regards to acquiring live sports rights. The North American leagues are dominant from a rights fee point of view, with both the NFL and NBA beneficiaries of multi-billion-dollar deals. Only the Premier League has proven capable of breaking into the upper echelon of media rights values from a European point of view. And the popularity of sports is not in question. As I say, it must be being must-watch TV. The NFL's previous deals amounted to a sizable $5 billion a year, but the renewal done last year is worth approximately $10 billion annually, almost double the previous total, which is a staggering increase. The NFL's deal has put to shame any notion that COVID-19 was going to impact the sports industry and impact on media rights. We're expecting that the NBA's renewal for its TV deal is expected to reach up to $74 billion in 2025, up from $25 billion in its previous cycle. And that's largely driven by its attractiveness to a younger, more tech-savvy audience. Accessibility to sport in the modern age is key for modern and especially younger fans. Gone are the days when everyone will be rooted to their TV in anticipation of watching their favourite team. Consumers want versatility in their viewing options, and this is where streaming platforms come into play. Thanks to platforms such as Netflix and Amazon Prime, people can now watch content on the go. The said can be same for sports games. And while in-stadium viewing will always be the most authentic experience possible, it just isn't feasible all the time, especially given turbulent economic factors and financial struggles caused by inflation and caused by the pandemic. The ease and access of streaming is of great advantage to consumers, and streaming platforms are beginning to understand the true value of live sports packages, much like Sky understood the power when satellite services launched in the early 90s. Amazon have become a primary leader with regards to streaming platforms securing live sports rights, and they've made significant inroads into the Premier League, NFL, as well as broadcasting a significant number of tennis events throughout the calendar year, but obviously looking to step away from that now. Amazon's approach with live sports rights is to pay less for smaller rights packages from a variety of different leagues and tournaments, and instead of cornering the market on a specific league or sport in a certain country, they've gone for variety. And the difference in kinds of deals being struck has made it difficult for industry experts to fully predict and identify their strategy. Marie Donoghue, the Vice President of Global Sports Video, simply described their strategy as opportunistic. And it is predicated on it being a global entertainment service and not a 24/7 sports service. Apple TV in the US has also made strides and has looked to sports as a driver of audience to its nascent platform by picking up the rights to Major League Baseball and Major League Soccer in the US. Among the most frequent users of streaming platforms are millennials and Gen Z, who often rely on them for consuming content. Millennials and Gen Z are unique in that they have either experienced the technology boom as they've gotten older or grown up with it as part of their lives. Gen Z in particular are used to accessible and available content at a moment's notice, and streaming platforms will need to capitalise on this shifting trend and think about innovative ways of presenting sports programming to engage those audiences. Platforms such as Veritone's SportX, which offer media buyers the ability to seamlessly integrate social media content into a live broadcast, will be crucial for enticing younger viewers to consume sports content, something esports broadcasters such as Twitch and YouTube already do successfully, with hang time on these platforms averaging over 8 hours. Breakdowns show that Gen Z are somewhat less inclined towards identifying as sports fans, and that they may be generally less interested in sports. However, this argument can be countered by suggesting that actually Gen Z are more interested in a far wider range of sports than previous generations, which is likely due to the ease with which content can be viewed. Among the most widely viewed sports amongst millennials and Gen Z is esports, whose growth has been significant in the past few years, especially during the pandemic. Aiding the emergence of esports has obviously been online streaming, which allows millions of fans worldwide to have live access to their favourite teams, tournaments and games. As mentioned, Twitch and YouTube have largely cornered the market with regards to esports streaming, But other platforms such as Discord, Facebook, and Caffeine do have a share of the market, albeit a substantially lower one. As mentioned, esports experienced a surge in popularity during COVID-19, and there's a key difference between how live sports and esports is viewed by their respective fans. Esports fans are actually more comfortable with consuming gaming content on their own terms and at their own convenience, while sports fans, as mentioned, prefer to watch the action unfold live. And that's largely due to the heightened excitement of a shared experience. Millennials and Gen Z typically are gamers themselves and hold a particular sway over that esports market. And generally speaking, gaming is their favoured pastime, whether it be casual or competitive. So investing these crowds into sports via esports could be an option for drawing bigger audiences to live sports. And we've seen teams associate themselves with esports organisations and launch their own esports teams, like the guys at Manchester City have done as well. However, undoubtedly the most definitive way of attracting and retaining these younger audiences over the next decade will be the development and adoption of new technology. The amount of time that Gen Z and millennials spend online could be the key to unlocking the metaverse and understanding how that's going to develop and shape over the next decade. These groups may well be the first consumer adopters of the potential tech, and it could change sports viewership in drastic ways. There are several potential use cases for the metaverse, mostly centred around fan engagement, but not only is the market expected to be a huge one from a revenue point of view, as we can see, the potential for how we interact with sports is also vast. Despite the interest in the metaverse and Web3, lots of companies from different sectors are unaware of the benefits that the technology can bring to their industries. When surveyed, just 28% of people thought that augmented reality would significantly disrupt their industry. And this means that those who understand and adopt AR and its benefits in relation to the metaverse, in relation to NFTs and so on, will stand to gain the most. The most exciting opportunities could come with regards to how fans actually watch sports. Viewing sports virtually could happen by filling up a virtual arena, and viewing sport with the use of things like 3D spatial audio, which would allow viewers to clearly hear the sounds of the game and other fans, as well as detect how far away their friends are, so that they could converse with them. While much of this is still theoretical, it would represent the most seismic shift in sports viewership, and would be far more disruptive than even streaming platforms have been. In response, leagues and teams the world over are starting to try to understand and explore the use cases for this kind of technology. La Liga have partnered with South Korean firm TVM to better explore and develop an exclusive ecosystem for the virtual space. Guys at Manchester City have already looked into building a virtual stadium in the metaverse, while Williams Racing have entered into a commercial partnership with metaverse platform Terra Virtua as a means of exploring and driving fan engagement. The trend has also begun when looking at jobs in Web3 technologies. We can see here some sporting organisations that have started to take a clear interest in Web3 technologies as an additional revenue stream. The NFL is hiring a tokenomics director aimed at designing a blockchain and NFT space, providing fans with the ability to take digital ownership. Similarly, the director of metaverse engineering is a position that the Australian Football League is trying to recruit for, with a deep dive into the job description showing a familiarity with metaverse technologies as a key requirement. Major League Baseball is trying to hire a director of Web3 projects with an understanding of blockchain crypto infrastructure business models. And Fox broadcaster is hiring a platform software development engineer to help with the development of Blockchain Creative Labs, which is a Fox-owned Web3 media company. Fan experiences in broadcasting and on mobile devices potentially offer the most lucrative and accessible opportunities for AR integration. AR graphics in broadcast create a more engaging and insightful analysis of events, while AR on personal devices is a novel marketing introduction. Increasing fan engagement and is simply more accessible than using things like AR headsets, while that does often appeal to a younger audience. AR growth is already taking shape in the sports industry as more and more sports industry companies hire AR professionals. In September 2021, There were 461 AR sports industry jobs posted globally. This has risen to 1,730 jobs in September 2022. Even clubs like Arsenal have advertised for a business development executive looking for partnerships with companies across Web3 and the extended reality industry, including blockchain, NFTs, the metaverse, AR and VR. The focus on sponsorship and partnership opportunities within Web3 and extended reality space suggests that all clubs and rights holders are focusing on lucrative opportunities and engaging fan experiences outside of simple broadcast partnerships. And this perhaps shows the future of the industry, integrating AR graphics into broadcasting and sponsorship revenue opportunities and moving the industry into these new and emerging spaces. Broadcasting and fan experiences offer the most commercially lucrative opportunities for AR integration. AR graphics can be used to display real-time player statistics and enhance the experience for the viewer. AR can also be used to create virtual sets and augment the entire viewing experience. Integrating AR into live broadcasting involves technology across the AR value chain, from advancements like tracking cameras through to actual content, which gives broadcasters a competitive edge when it comes to media rights deals. ITV used Vert's AR graphics for a coverage of Euro 2020 to visualise the latest data and statistics, blending the physical studio with virtual interactive graphics, while the BBC used a virtual set for their coverage of the Tokyo Olympics due to, obviously, COVID-19. And the graphics were provided by vendor Brainstorm. Sky, which is usually at the forefront of developing innovative and new ways of presenting sports programming, used and created AR graphics of the 100 players in partnership with ECB during its coverage this year. BT Sport, as we heard earlier, has also developed tech in this space via its app, which includes novel features and provides a completely different and customizable viewing experience for 2 fixed cameras. You can obviously watch with friends, and AR-driven real-time data and statistics are provided on screen, highlighting the move towards an immersive, fan-focused broadcast footprint. Telcos are also moving into this space, partnering with sports federations to create immersive fan experiences. 5G provides better connectivity and improved latency, and bandwidth provides the underlying infrastructure for more comprehensive AR experience. Verizon's pilot project with the NHL tested immersive, low-latency AR experiences on mobile devices for hockey fans watching a live game in stadia. The pilot, which took place at the New Jersey Devils game in the Prudential Center, involved pointing a mobile device at any player on the rink to see real-time AR statistics next to that player, including player speed and time on the ice. And that was provided by AR application developer Immersive. It replicated some of the same aspects of broadcast viewing that up to now had not been possible in a live stadium experience. T-Mobile have created immersive AR experiences using smart glasses created by vendor Unreal. The AR experience has similar functionality to Verizon's pilot project, with pop-up statistics and baseball cards with real-time stats appearing on the smart apps. Utilising a hologram of Seattle Mariners outfield Mitch Haniger, users could watch live action on the field and also browse a video library of Mariners' past games. The telcos utilised their commercial partnerships to provide improved latency for AR experiences on different devices, a trend we are seeing becoming more and more relevant globally, with more telcos looking and exploring this opportunity in modern stadia. It's important to consider the purpose of the experience before deciding which device to use. Obviously, mobile devices are much more accessible and have no barrier to entry, unlike specific tech like smart glasses. Tech sponsorships and partnerships are the current method driving advanced AR in the sports industry, and the agreement is mutually beneficial. Tech companies get their brand name and expertise in front of millions of sports fans, and sports companies enjoy the benefits of sponsorship investment and technological expertise, as well as providing brand partners with another commercial platform. Pilot projects like the Verizon testing 5G and AR capabilities with the NHL will translate into common mixed reality experiences using smart devices in venue. On a similar topic, AR mobile experiences will progress most quickly, enhancing fan experiences given their accessibility. As media competition intensifies for sports rights with the rise of OTT platforms, broadcasters will have to invest in more sophisticated technology, including AR, to attract or keep contracts and engage fans. OTT platforms like those mentioned earlier will likely be able to offer opportunities to experiment and innovate during broadcast, providing a real challenge to broadcast hegemony. While new technologies will drive fan engagement, the opportunity must still be centred around the sport itself. The Women's European Championships, which took place in England last summer, saw significant engagement from younger fans, and with leagues such as the WSL still in their infancy, sports such as women's football present themselves as opportunities for innovation, with new technologies allowing us to engage with our favourite athletes like never before. Broadcasters, rights holders and teams are all focusing on women's sport, and brands are looking at ways of developing partnerships in the space to get on board with these growing trends. And where brands are spending significant amounts to develop partnerships, leagues and teams will want to maximise these commercial opportunities. In short, we must follow the money. And at Global Data, we are tracking, analysing and reporting deals across sports rights holders, media broadcasters and technology companies to better understand the landscape and provide you with informed data-led solutions based on real-time data. So feel free to reach out to me if you've got any questions. So thank you for your attention. I'm just going to check if there are any questions, I'm not sure. I think some of these are... So the first one, seeing whether or not sort of TikTok is a major platform to distribute sports content to Gen Z. I think someone mentioned earlier on that sort of TikTok works well in short form content, and I think it's a good way of engaging, and potentially for smaller rights holders, it's a great way for them to actually develop a relationship with and develop fans of their sport and highlight their sport. Potentially in terms of distributing sports content, especially longer form, I think that becomes slightly more challenging. Next one's a good one. Do you think the metaverse will turn out to be this decade's 3D, i.e. fail dramatically? Potentially. There's a lot of investment, there's a lot of interest in the metaverse. I think at the moment it's very hypothetical in terms of its use case, and until you can actually monetize it and actually develop proper use cases for the metaverse, it will remain theoretical. I think some of the interesting things that we've been sort of discussing is potentially building a metaverse or virtual stadiums in the metaverse, and selling tickets in countries outside of the domestic. So, for example, if the guys at Man City build their metaverse and they sell tickets for Man City games, and you can physically sit in a stadium while sitting in Thailand, that might be an application for it in real times. Of the recent problems with cryptocurrencies badly hit the Web3 tech model? Potentially. We saw a huge investment from cryptocurrency firms in sports sponsorship, especially during the COVID pandemic. There was a huge explosion there. It became the highest contributing sector for sports sponsorships within 12 months. I think the underlying technology around blockchain, around cryptocurrencies is still sound, but I think it makes people slightly more nervous in real terms as to whether or not that's actually going to be a long-term viable solution. But definitely something to think about. It all depends on if crypto bounces back, I suppose. Are NFTs actually what fans want, or just a way to try and extract more money from them? It's a fairly cynical viewpoint, and one that I've had myself. I think with regards to NFTs, I think it depends on what it is that the NFT is. If we've seen brands such as Nike develop a digital trainer, and that has a a value in something like the metaverse, in something like esports. Again, linking back to esports, you're thinking in Fortnite, if you can sort of buy an NFT of a trainer and actually apply that to your avatar and things like that, it becomes a value. It becomes something that people are interested in and people want to have. If it's a digital trading card, that might be the way that trading cards go, and FIFA World Cup's on. I'm sure people have wandered into supermarkets and seen the sticker books and things like that are out on sale. That might be the way that that sector develops into a more digital format as opposed to the actual physical books and physical cards. So I think there are opportunities, and I think there are real-term and real-time applications of it, but there is a more cynical aspect to it as well. But I think that that's the case with certain content that we see now and certain partnerships that people enter into now as well. And last question, is there evidence that esports fans cross over to traditional sports, or do they see esports as separate from other sports? I think with esports, we're talking something very different. Typically, the more popular esports games are, sadly, the more violent ones. Sadly, I suppose it depends on viewpoint, but things like Call of Duty and Fortnite and things like that are more popular amongst esports fans than traditional sports titles. I think that the trouble that you have in terms of replicating that interest in esports to traditional sports fans and vice versa is obviously the live nature of sport and the unpredictability of live sport. Anyone who watched the World Cup over the past couple of days, we've seen Argentina lose, we've seen Germany lose, things like that. I think if you're looking at things like FIFA as an e-sport, the more skilled gamer will typically win out. So potentially that's, I think someone mentioned earlier on, inherent risk in sport is what's attractive to it. And I think that's where the problem in terms of crossing over from esports to sports lies. But I do think that there is an opportunity to build relationships using esports and bring those fans into traditional sports as well. So on that note, I think that's me. So thank you very much.